Hello, Dr. Fadi.
Hello, Patricia.
Very nice to have you on the panel.
I'm honored to be on the panel, and thanks for the organizer for strengthening the issue of water in the Mediterranean basin overall and also in the southeastern Mediterranean, and your thought about Lebanon also. Thank you.
On the matter of water, which is going to be in question big time in the whole world for the next few years, and it's going to be a matter of both collaboration and alliances and conflict. We want to go and draw from your experience spanning the Mediterranean area as the head of IHP and ECOMED. What are, in your professional views, the hydro strategies that need to be adopted regionally in a collaborative way throughout the region in order to tackle the matter of water security in the medium to long run?
Thank you, Patricia, for this very important question. It's really a vision that could raise from this question. Let me tackle the subject based on three main pillars. The first pillar in the nexus, the first pillar is IWRM at the basin level. It's a scientific, very important scientific initiative that has been raised about more than 30 years ago and applied in the Mediterranean basin starting the year 2000 on the northern part and on the southern part. I was really proud and honored to tackle this question for and implement it for the northern part, whereas my counterpart from GWP Professor Skoulos, was implementing this initiative on the northern part of the Mediterranean basin. So integrated water resource management at the basin level can ensure a coordinated development and management for water, for land, and for all the related resources. So this approach promotes sustainable water use and help balance the social, economic, and environmental needs. Unfortunately, IWRM was not yet applied in all the countries of the southeastern Mediterranean basin due to several problems. The first problem is the investment in the water infrastructure. So upgrading and maintaining the water infrastructure is highly crucial, and also increasing the efficiency of the network on the cities of the southeastern Mediterranean basin country is really highly important. And in order to do this task, we need to invest and to focus on modernizing the smart water management of our megacities in the southeastern Mediterranean basin, and also modernizing the irrigation system. Why modernizing the irrigation system? Because on the northern part in France and Italy, drip irrigation, sprinklers are oftenly used, and in fact, the water allocated for irrigation mainly constitute 50% to 58% of the global renewable water, whereas on the southeastern part, it's 80%. And this is why we need to invest in water infrastructure. We need to invest in improving water technology, water storage facility, and enhancing wastewater treatment and reuse capabilities. When I speak about reuse capabilities, I raise the subject of non-conventional water. It's highly important. Non-conventional water, it has a financial value, an economical value, and this should be used in irrigation, whereas some of the countries of the southeastern Mediterranean won't use this. So this is the first subject, is how to implement IWRM at the basin level. The second subject is how to increase climate resilience. Climate resilience is very important because actually all the policies that we have developed throughout the Mediterranean basin, whereas in Europe, the Water Framework Directive for the EU or the other policies does not really take into consideration the philosophy and the concept of the nexus of the water, energy, food, and ecosystem. And with the climate change, the first sector that will be collapsing mainly in the southeastern Mediterranean is agricultural sector. And mass population transfer will go from the south toward the north. So it's very important to strengthen the climate resilience and really to start managing this issue in a cooperative way. And this is why, under my mandate as chair of IHP, we have launched two major initiatives. The first one is the water strategy for the decade 2020-2030 that was implemented and adopted by the international community. The main priority of strategy number one of UNESCO is how to bridge science with policy. So without database, without science, we won't be able to apply good policy. And the second initiative is the EcoMed Academy. The EcoMed Academy was also driven in order to constitute climate resilience and take part within the extreme event. And we are actually, as we all know, encountering extreme event in the whole Mediterranean. The third point that I would like to raise in your question is the public awareness and education. It is highly important to start a momentum of public awareness, talking about the gender issues, talking about all the issues that we need to raise, and also educating the population about water conservation, educating the population about the nexus concept also within a vision of peace, so that the transboundary water will not constitute a conflictual situation in the Mediterranean.
Absolutely, absolutely, Dr. Comair, because we all know that water is going to be a matter of conflict in the next few years, and the more we have bridging strategies, the more we avoid this. But since we're talking about conflict, the East Mediterranean region in particular has been a conflict zone for decades now. And its geostrategic importance in terms of water has been overshadowed. So can you walk us through your experience through the potential of this particular area on water?
Thank you so much, Patricia. In fact, the southeastern Mediterranean basin is really actually under water stress because, in fact, the hydrology of this basin are completely different than the hydrology that we have in the northern basin. So if we don't stock in winter and in spring season this water, or if we don't recharge this water in the aquifer through artificial or natural recharge, we won't be able to have sufficient water in order to satisfy the demand management for agriculture and for the cities of the Mediterranean, southeastern Mediterranean basin in summer. This is why a lot of conflict could emerge, whereas in the Jordan River basin, and the Tigris and Euphrates, and the Blue Nile basin, and we know that the Blue Nile basin is actually encountering a big problem concerning the Renaissance Dam that has been constructed by Ethiopia, limiting the flow of water towards Sudan and towards Egypt, and bearing in mind that 96% of the economy of Egypt rely on the Blue Nile. This is why, after negotiating and mediating on transboundary water for more than 20 years, I launched a concept which is called the hydrodiplomacy concept. By hydrodiplomacy, we need to follow three main tracks in order to arrive to a win-win situation on transboundary basin, and this could apply on the Jordan River, could apply on the Tigris and Euphrates, and on the Blue Nile. The first track is a technical track. If the engineers do not share together the database, the information, how can we design for big infrastructure on transboundary water by applying the equitable sharing and reasonable use of water among the riparian country. We will have conflict if we don't share this important database and discuss between engineers how are we going to develop and expand this transboundary basin. The second track within the hydrodiplomacy is the institutional track. If we don't go for organizing water agency, regional water authority, in order to put all the riparian country, all the stakeholder in the riparian country together to discuss the future of the transboundary water, we won't be able to arrive to a win-win situation. And we have some UN structure that we can use in order to apply this institutional framework. First of all, is the UN structure for Europe, the 1992 UNESCO Convention that has been applied on the Danube River, on the Rhine River, on all the river of the northern part of Europe. This could apply also to the southern part. It could apply through the Secretariat, and the first Arab country that has launched this cooperative action with the UN UNESCO Convention for Europe, which is based in Geneva, is Lebanon. And I have organized two major conferences at the Prime Minister office with Prime Minister Saad al-Hariri and Prime Minister Salam, so that Lebanon could enter this convention. Unfortunately, due to the political mismanagement, we were not able to implement this, and we are very happy that Iraq was the second country which has implemented this UNESCO Convention. The second convention is UN Convention of 1997 that has been also ratified by mainly the major countries in the world. So these are two major institutional frameworks that we can apply in order to arrive to a water peace environment. And the third option is the agreement. How are we going to consolidate the agreement between riparian countries? So, excuse me, through hydrodiplomacy and the concept of the nexus water, energy, food ecosystem, we can find solution for this conflictual situation on the Blue Nile. We can find solution for the Jordan River Basin, and we bear in mind that we are actually going through a big catastrophe in the Jordan River Basin is the complete agony of the Dead Sea. It's a major cultural and natural heritage for all the world. And we don't want to see this heritage of the Dead Sea registered as RLC in our registration book at UNESCO as a complete disappeared cultural heritage.
Dr. Comair, thank you so much. It's such an elaborate and detailed overview over the Mediterranean and the East Mediterranean. Thank you also into bringing specific matters of interest and specific programs and specific solutions. So I thank you so much for your contribution.
Thank you, Patricia. We need collaborative effort all together with the Union of the Mediterranean, with the World Bank, with the Arab League, with the EU, so that we can strengthen our effort to use water as a tool for peace and not as a tool for destruction and hatred, because water is the link among human beings. When I was at UNESCO chair, my slogan was, water is the connector. So let's connect ourselves in order to save the future generation.
Thank you so much, Dr. Comair. I will go back.